Hi everyone, welcome back to True Mamre. I hope you are all well by the grace of God. This video is about Ghana President Nana AKUFO ADDO. He was interviewed about the IMF initiative that was given to Ghana a few weeks ago. I want you to listen to what he said about that, and also he has explained certain things that was going on before he came into power. Well, I was in Ghana by then, so I will not say anything because I don't know. And then how he has helped the economy before COVID-19 and before what is going on right now. So he has also talked about giving hope to Ghanaians about what he wants to do. He said he has 18 months left for him to leave his office as well. Um, and he promised he would do good things with this money that has been given or has been approved to Ghana. So I will not waste your time. Let's all listen to this interview together. And then, please, as always, as we do it here, share your opinion. What do you think about all the things that he has said, what he has done, and what he's going about to do? Thank you so much. If this is your first time, my name is Mamri, a Ghanaian living in the UK. So you are very welcome. Sit down and join me. Thank you.
There's no shortage of topics to talk to you about, especially considering what Ghana's economy has gone through in the past few years. But I want to start with this because it's been a few days since Ghana secured that $3 billion bailout from the IMF. I was reading that the IMF called it an attempt to restore macroeconomic stability and debt sustainability while laying the foundation for inclusive recovery. How would you describe it in your own words?
Well, first of all, the beginning, as I say, I'm grateful for the opportunity to speak about Ghana at this forum. When we came into office in 2017, the Ghanaian economy at the time was growing at about 3.4% GDP, which in fact was one of the slowest rates of growth for the last 20 years. Inflation was extremely high, interest rates were high. All the macro indices at the time were pointing in the wrong direction. So, and we were under an IMF program at the beginning. We took a lot of time and pains to correct the trajectory of the Ghanaian economy. And so that by the end of my first term, the annual rates of growth had gone up to 7% a year. We had now stabilized our currency. Interest rates were in a steep decline, inflation also. So that you would say that before the COVID pandemic, the Ghanaian economy had achieved macroeconomic stability and was in the process of rapid growth. Come the COVID-19 pandemic, followed of course by the Russia-Ukraine disaster, I don't think we can call it any other way, it had tremendous impact on our economy.
Right.
Suddenly, we were facing major challenges on our balance of payments, our currency went into a steep decline, interest rates went out of the window, inflation, all the indices that had been worked on. And that is what basically forced us to go to seek the assistance of the fund. We went in July last year,
Right.
and it has taken us July to May to secure a program. We had a staff level agreement with the fund in December. It was a relatively quick period. And finally in May, we've secured the fund.
What do you attribute the delays to? And in particular, China is the biggest bilateral creditor to Ghana. What were discussions like with them? I mean, did they contribute to part of the delays?
Yes, no. I think that China took a very positive, proactive role. They co-chaired the official creditor committee. It was the final hurdle that we had to overcome before being able to go to the fund. It was when the creditor committee met, I believe, they co-chaired it with Paris, and I believe they met on the 11th of May, and China was extremely positive about giving the green light for the firm to look at the Ghanaian situation positively. No, I don't have any hesitations or any criticisms about Chinese involvement in the Chinese involvement in the Ghanaian economy. By and large, has been very, very helpful. I know that it's a matter of controversy in the West about China. But for us, they have been strong friends, and in the time of this difficulty, they proved to be strong friends. So
Do you think the controversy has been overplayed then?
we were talking about competition amongst big powers for influence and for the controversy will be generated out of that fact alone. The competition is bound to stimulate a lot of controversy. So there it is. I don't think it's of particular value to go. It's a fact that we have to deal with. Well, we deal with it on the principle that our economy, our politics, our country has historically been one that has been outward looking, that has insisted on as much as possible friendship with all those who want to be friendly with Ghana. There's certain principles that have been important to us, but beyond that, we have attempted to be friendly with all countries. China has been a strong and good friend of Ghana.
And I want to talk more about the diversification of the economy, because we know cocoa is very critical to Ghana's economy, second biggest exporter, but still not seeing the value add in the country. Where are you at in terms of being able to produce your own chocolate and export it?
Yeah, I think that continues to be a major challenge for our economy. Even though we have made considerable progress in recent years in the amount of beans that are processed domestically. I believe it's now 40% of our output which is processed domestically. The transition to the full value chain in terms of production is still a daunting task. Fortunately, important private sector players in Ghana are beginning to look more seriously at what they need to do to be able of chocolate. We have a Ghanaian company, Niche, which is now making major strides to try to fill that gap. In fact, Niche has now gone so far as to establish an American production outlet facility. They'll be producing Ghanaian chocolate over there for the American market. But there's a lot that still needs to be done for us to be able to get the full value chain. I mean, the cocoa industry is amazing. It's a what, $110 billion a year industry? And the producing countries, Cote d'Ivoire and Ghana, who between the two are responsible for some 66, 67% of world output, don't even make 10% of the value of that industry. And that is the reason why the need for us to intensify measures and the policies that would allow us to get there has become so critical.
And the EU is very critical to that as well, because the EU makes up 60% of Ghana's cocoa exports. But there's legislation that could potentially put that at risk in terms of deforestation and child labor if the traceability is not fully disclosed.
I have no doubt that
Did you hear that about child labor? Child labor is always in Africa because that's how we brought up. If your parents are farmers, you follow them to farm. I'm not supporting the other people that go and take other people's children to work in their farm. No, as family. But you know, it has been there all the time. They don't talk about it. They don't do anything about it. When Africa want to take over, they want to use child labor's law. Anyway, let's go on.
we will meet the requirements of the EU legislation.
Is the EU critical, though, to the success of Ghana's cocoa industry?
The EU has posed some questions. We have done our best to respond to it. Several meetings have taken place both in Accra and in Brussels to explain the topography of the Ghanaian industry, to show exactly what is done. And we're confident that the allegation that child labor forms an important part of our cocoa, but it's not an allegation that has any foundation in fact, and that we will, when the legislation is enacted, that we will meet the requirements of the legislation. We're very confident.
Are you willing to look to other markets, though, to not be so reliant on the EU or other products?
Oh, absolutely. Apart from ramping up the products, there are Asia represents a new huge market, both India and China itself and other parts of Asia. They all represent a huge new market, and we're making systematic efforts to introduce Ghanaian cocoa into those markets and to penetrate those markets. We have to do that. We can't be reliant on only just one outlet, which we've been historically. We've seen the difficulties involved in that, especially since we're committed to expanding the output of our cocoa. Hopefully, being able by the end of this decade at least to have doubled it. We need to get much closer to the Ivorian output than we have done so far.
Are there other, I know you were meeting with the Emir of Qatar, you're talking about agriculture exports. What other crops do you see as a potential opportunity for Ghana to benefit in addition to cocoa?
Of course, cassava is an important thing. Sugar, cassava, we're looking at our poultry industry, we're looking generally at tree crops, mango, soya beans, rubber. These are all products that we're placing a lot of emphasis on and trying to mobilize the infrastructural support for the expansion of all of these products. So we're looking at a broad range of products in Ghana that will be the subject of this diversification.
Potentially bartering gold for oil as well?
That's happening already. That's
still on the table?
It's very much on the table. And it's helping. It's helping in terms of its impact on our dollar outflows. It's helping in terms of the stability of the prices that we're paying for our oil, etc. Generally, it's proving to be quite beneficial to us.
All right, a lot to look out for, Mr. President.
Yeah.
You said 18 months in office?
Yes, that's what I have
18,
left.
he's counting the hours, the days. Thank you so much for joining us at QES.